Hello, students. In the first unit, let's do the second part or the B part, which is excretion. So, new chapter. So, excretion deals with how the body is going to throw out nitrogenous waste. Remember that when we are breathing, even CO2 is waste. But we deal with this in respiratory system. Therefore, here we are dealing only with nitrogen waste. Otherwise, theoretically speaking, even CO2 should be dealt with in excretion. But just because that system is different, so we are dealing it with respiration. This is all nitrogen based waste molecules. So where do we get this? This is from metabolism of proteins and to some extent of nucleic acids. They also contain nitrogen. So from metabolism of nucleic acids, but largely metabolism of proteins, we are going to get this waste. And when proteins are broken down, there is something called as deamination. With the help of deaminating enzymes, and these deaminating enzymes, they release NH3, or it becomes NH4 plus, the ammonium ion. In some organisms it's very difficult to keep it like this, because this is ammonia is extremely toxic. It has to be discarded away. If there is no method to immediately discard, you can't keep it in the body. It's very toxic. Therefore, there is a method to convert this into urea. But once when urea is formed, it has to be dissolved in water. So some animals find it difficult to find so much water, so they convert this into uric acid. So we'll learn about this a little later. So the different products are urea, uric acid and ammonia of excretion. Okay, this is one part. We are just introducing this. The second part is that, see, there are some organisms, like say an amoeba, living in seawater. So if an organism, a small organism lives in seawater, example, amoeba in seawater, then the composition of seawater and the composition of the cell amoeba is almost similar. So in terms of net, not much difference in osmotic pressure, because concentration of salts are same in and out, so not much difference of osmotic pressure. So they conform to their environment, and therefore we use the word osmoconformer. But suppose the same amoeba is put in fresh water. Now fresh water has got no salts, but amoeba cell has got salts like Na plus, Cl minus, etc. So these salts will give rise to a particular concentration. So the osmotic pressure is different. Therefore, water will rush inside. They cannot remain of same size. They have to, means that is, the size will increase, but how long will they go on increasing in size? They will burst out. Therefore, they have to regulate this. So this is called as osmoregulation, and these animals are called as osmoregulators. So there are two types of organisms: osmoconformers and osmoregulators. This is dealing with changes in concentration of Na, K plus, Cl minus, etc., which gives rise to changes in osmotic pressure. And to maintain this dynamically is called osmoregulation. The osmoregulation and excretion are studied together because, for example, kidney does both osmoregulation and excretion together. And in the progressive evolution which has taken place, some of the structures which are used in osmoregulation, they are similar and they are taken the same function in excretory structures, like for example in kidney. Therefore, we always study this together, osmoregulation and excretion together. So this is the introductory part. There are two physiological processes taking place. One is called osmoregulation, one is called excretion. But since the organ is the same to do this, so therefore we study it in this way, osmoregulation and excretion. Both these are slightly different physiological processes. So first we take the example of amoeba. Amoeba in fresh water. We just said that suppose you take an amoeba in seawater, there is not much change in the or difference in the concentration of salts in and out, therefore they are osmoconformers. But you take, say, an amoeba in fresh water, this is the nucleus, this is water, fresh water without any salt. Here there is lot of salt concentration, so water will come inside. Okay, this is simply a process of diffusion. So water will diffuse inside, is from a region of higher concentration of solvent, that is water, to low concentration of water. Because the concentration of water out is more, from out it will go in. Now this is little tricky, because first what we said is that the concentration of salt here is more, the concentration of salt here is less. That means that the concentration of water here is more and the concentration of water here is less. So for an operative definition of diffusion, we say that diffusion is movement of solvent molecules from region of higher concentration to region of low concentration. Therefore water moves inside. So what will happen to amoeba? It will become bigger. Now how big can this grow? Can this grow infinitely bigger? No. It cannot grow on becoming bigger and bigger. It is elastic only to some extent. It will burst. So this cannot burst. The cell will die. Therefore there has to be a mechanism where water has entered inside, but this water has to be discarded out. Why will the water enter inside? Because concentration of ions is more over here. That means that in life there is a constant struggle In this case also, this tells us about the constant struggle. Water is going to come inside. We have to find a method of throwing the water out. So in amoeba, or in any cell, for example, there will be lots of mitochondria. Okay, mitochondria will help to bring all the water molecules inside. So these are water molecules and they are all forming this vacuole like structure. So a small vacuole is formed, and we can see that surrounding this there are lots of mitochondria, which I am just showing it like this. So these mitochondria, they will surround a tiny droplet of water, and this becomes bigger and bigger. All these are the mitochondria. And this is contractile vacuole. How is a contractile vacuole formed? Tiny droplets of water. So all these tiny droplets of water, with the help of mitochondria, become bigger and bigger as the concentration increases and the size increases. Slowly this moves from one end to another. So this size increases. This is called as diastole. And then when it comes to the edge of this plasma membrane, this membrane and this membrane will fuse, and the water is now eliminated outside. So systole. Size increases and then it contracts and expels water. If amoeba from fresh water is transported to marine water, then it will not show the presence of contractile vacuole. Similarly, if there is a amoeba that is living in marine water, but it is now transported to fresh water, then it will develop CV. That means this is highly adaptive in nature. Okay, that is how it takes place. So let's look at this once again. We are talking about osmoregulation, and osmoregulation means how to keep the cell or the body in such a way that it is able to dynamically adjust to the environment with respect to concentration of salts inside the cells or inside the body, as the case may be. In amoeba, if the amoeba is in fresh water, see, the water outside over here has no salts, but inside the body there are a lot of salts. So the concentration of salts, if it is more, it will bring water from out to in. This is a physical process which we call as diffusion. What is diffusion? Movement of solvent or water from higher concentration to lower concentration. So it will enter inside and the cell will become big. Now it cannot afford to become bigger and bigger. So since it cannot afford to become bigger and bigger, there has to be a mechanism to throw out this water. That happens by formation of contractile vacuole. So you can see that contractile vacuole starts developing because of small droplets of water, and surrounding this there are mitochondria. That means mitochondria are very important in bringing that water molecule from out and through tiny membrane pores, bringing this water inside. It becomes larger and larger and larger because it becomes bigger. A simple word from circulation is used over here called diastole. And then ultimately this membrane and this membrane will fuse when it forcibly pushes out this water out. So this contraction and expelling of water is called systole. So there is a diastole and systole. So this happens in fresh water. So freshwater amoeba is an example of an osmoregulator. But a marine water amoeba is an example of an osmoconformer. This we can, if suppose experiments are done of transferring from one area to another, or one fresh water to marine water, then it will show presence of CV contractile vacuole, or it may not show it, depending upon whether it is marine water. It will not show it. In fresh water it will show it. Try to learn the meanings of the words osmoconformer and osmoregulator, and the meanings of the terms osmoregulation and excretion. So with this is Professor Ravindranath signing off. Thank you.